Hello, everybody. My name is Tovar, and welcome to Cultra, the Trail Running Podcast, episode 283.
Actually, it's 285, but it's not his fault.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is f***ing explicit and raw like the trails we run on, so don't listen with your kids! Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined tonight by Cultra crew member Fred Marolo.
I'm here.
All right, Fred. How you doing, Fred?
I'm doing all right. You are?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Good.
It's been rough, but I had a great weekend, I have to say.
You were out at some race, right?
I was, yeah. I was up at the Northern Nitbuck. So that was great. I got a chance to hang out with two New York Bonanno, and then just saw a whole bunch of just a whole bunch of
Hokas.
people.
You probably saw a bunch of Hokas.
I did. I saw a whole bunch of Hokas and a whole bunch of different folks, friends, and I had the distinct pleasure of like establishing myself as a subject matter expert, because Brian Rosecki was there and he finished second, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "Good." I said, and I started interviewing him, I started talking to them, and I was like, I'm like, "And what's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, Brian." I said, "Oh, Brian who?" Like a fucking dope. So, and I had met Brian a couple times before in the past, even out on the trail a couple times. And
have you ever done an ultra there before, fella?
Yeah.
Like that?
Is this your first race here?
Yeah.
So he had actually done that race 15 years earlier, at least. So he's been, certainly been around and done a lot of cool shit. So anyway, today this is a special show. It's a little bit different than what we typically the way that we typically do things. So lots of times we have strictly runners on, or doctors, or rocket scientists, or what other kind of people do we have, Fred?
Physios. We had some physios.
We had some physios from down under.
Yeah.
Right? A while back. Yeah. But today, because we're always trying to bring our listeners knowledge of some sort, and we fail miserably most weeks, right?
It's not like going to college. Listen to the culture. You won't get a degree or even a certificate.
Yeah. So today, what we have today is Tovar's here, and he's from HOKA. So Tovar, welcome, and maybe you could just tell us what you do at HOKA.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I must say that I absolutely love the unapologetic nature of this podcast, because that's how trail running is. So I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. I work for HOKA, indeed, in the marketing department. So I am what we call at the company field experience, a field experience team member. So basically what that means is everything that the brand does that actually has boots on the ground and face-to-face interaction with our consumers. So that translates into any sort of events, interaction, product training, racing, etc., in which I get to be lucky to be the face of the brand when we're out there at different stores, at different races, with different running clubs, stuff like that. So it's something that I really, really enjoy. And, I think the company does a good job in having that community connection and have, a lot of boots on the ground to have firsthand experiences with people.
So do the boots have a Byram sole on them, or?
Some of them have duration. Some of them have rubberized EVA. We can go as deep as you want, Art.
All right. Okay. All right. So yeah. So that's cool. So I guess lots of people have heard of Hoka. Lots of
Sure.
people have run in Hokas. And just so you know, everybody, this is not going to be a 4-hour Hoka commercial.
God, no.
We're here to, and because just, so there's no worry about that. But we do want to talk about and I have no problem talking about Hoka and hearing about the specifics of the company either. So
Sure.
we don't have to pretend that doesn't exist. But I thought that this would be just a good chance to kind of find out a little bit about if our perceptions of the running shoe market are correct, maybe some new technologies that are out there, a little bit of history lessons, and kind of get some feedback too. I guess like Fred. Now, Fred, you've heard of Hoka, right?
Yeah. It rings a bell.
Yes, it has, right? Yeah. And so, in what way, Fred?
I think it's an anagram for AHOK.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is one of my words with friends words. Say.
Oh, it is.
No, not really. But it could have been.
You're completely losing me, Fred, and I'm just playing along like I know what the fuck I'm doing here. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right, Art. I mean, we don't want to make a commercial, and that's like maybe a little bit of context, right? Like, of what happened. So first and foremost, I love running, and that's I mean, I consider myself a trail runner to the core. I mean, road running and marathons and all that fun stuff has been an acquired taste, but I'm definitely the happiest up in the mountains. And that's brought me to ultra running, and that brought me to actually running. This is going to be my 6th year running the Anchor Down Ultra, which you've had, a lot of
Jason
talks about that ultra. You had Jason recently. You had On the Runs, Maurice. So as you know, it's a very dear race to all of those of us that are ultra runners in Rhode Island.
Yes.
And that's kind of like probably the connection. And it's like, well, maybe let's talk shoes. Which, this is something. I'm an engineer, actually. I am not a marketer. I have a background in engineering. And I worked in the medical industry for over a decade. So I work with a lot of PTs and stuff like that. So this is a little bit out of left field, or maybe not. Maybe that's why it makes sense that I work for Hoka. But yeah, the idea is to give a little bit of context, answer questions, or maybe just go down the line of, what it means to choose footwear.
So what do you know about Hoka? Like, do you know how they started their business or anything?
Yes,
or
I do. Yeah. I do. So I met one of the founders.
This is like a quiz, or just a second. This is going to be a fucking quiz. Your bosses.
I'm going to make sure that I don't give the link to my boss then.
No, we already sent it to him, so it's cool.
Oh, snap. All right. Yeah. So Hoka, actually, Hoka, the official name is Hoka One One, right?
Yes.
You see it in some of the boxes still.
And people don't say that shit anymore, right? Did they get rid of that?
Wrong anyway, right?
So legally still Hoka One One, but we just dropped it to Hoka because for marketing reasons, and also of course because in the English language it kind of like being read as 1-1, which is not what it is. Hoka One One, it's Maori. It's in the language of the indigenous people of the New Zealand and those islands area.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it's Maori, and it translates roughly to fly over the earth.
Gotcha. Okay. And that, you see, that's brought up in it a lot. Hey, could I ask you one, like, this is kind of an aside. I think your sound was better before. Like, I'm hearing like it's popping a little bit. Like, maybe if you could turn that off and go how you had it before. Yeah.
Oh, is that better if I just take the mic?
I think so. Yeah. Just a little bit better. You were just kind of clipping a little bit there.
All right. Let me know. And if not, we could just get rid of it.
Okay. And if mine fucks up,
it sounded fine to me. But Art's he's a stickler.
I'm sensitive.
Yeah, you're a sensitive guy.
Right, I'm very sensitive. So
the time to fly thing is like relative to the one stuff. Okay, I get it. Flying over the earth.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a little bit of the origin of the brand. So the founders, Nico and Jean-Luc, they were both adventure racers. and they were looking to create a shoe that allowed you to go really fast, unapologetically, right? When we think about 2008, 2009, that's when this kind of like origin story started. We were in the middle of the super minimalist shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
We
And
had the
then
New
what the
Balance
fuck
super
happened?
flats. We had the
Yes.
Vibram Five Fingers
I
and all
love
that fun
that.
stuff.
Yeah. I was all about the minimalist stuff.
It was all about the minimalist. Salomon had where they were starting to get really known with their S Lab, very thin outsole, and that was cool and all. And I think I can speak forever to barefoot running versus not barefoot running. So let's put a pin on that. But one of the things that as trail runners we know is that if you have a narrow shoe or a very thin shoe, you have to be very technical when you come down, right? Like you have to be like a little bit like a mountain goat, right? Like step here, step there, stuff like that. So Nico and Jean-Luc, they were looking for the opposite. I just want to go down really quickly, as efficiently as possible, right? And that's how the brand and the shoe was born. They had a shoe upper, and they put a piece of foam in the bottom. Up the hill, down the hill, put a Dremel, shape it, up the hill, down the hill, shape it again, until they finally found a shape that they were, this is the ride that we're looking for. And Ever HOKA since has a little bit of that DNA of that, classic HOKA that we envisioned that has a thick stack, right?
Yeah.
Very, has a good cushion, and it has like little rounded rocker geometry to it. And it was all from trying to come down the hill as quickly as possible, man.
Gotcha. You did an One up and an One down.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. So listen, we have like a HOKA super fan joining us today.
I think I might be the number one fan.
Yes.
All right.
Aptly put there too, Rob. So this is Rob number one, Armatrude. I always fuck up your last name, Rob.
It's Armatrude. Everybody adds an arm to it.
Armatrude.
Okay. Amateur. I don't know why they all add an arm my whole life.
Okay. All right. That's cool. That's good. So, and I guess I can say this. So Rob posted Rob's, like, if you guys aren't following Rob on Instagram, then you're fucking wasting your time. Okay.
Yeah. So huge following, mostly HOKA content.
Yes, it is. So he showed a picture. Well, you got to see it. I can't, like, if I try to explain the video, it kind of takes all the fun out of it, but just shows him like throwing some other shoes in the garbage and stuff like that. And
can we say the name of the other shoe? Is that even allowed?
Oh yeah. We can talk shit about, we're going to talk shit about HOKA tonight. We're going to talk shit about Asics. Well, we can do that, right? I mean, come on. We're going to, like, you know what? We talk shit about each other. We better talk shit about HOKA, talk shit about all the shoe companies, Brand X, and
we're talking shit about all shoes today.
And fuck Nike, right? I mean, Fred, can I say that?
You can say whatever you want, Art.
Okay,
we can swear on here. That's okay.
Rob. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I have a lot of really good HOKA ideas as well. I've written down some ideas and questions that I want to voice.
All right.
Well, I don't know if you want to. We're
going to launch right into that shit, Rob.
Okay.
I mean, we can just go, man. Seriously.
I think I missed some of this. I came on a little late. You were telling the history of the original HOKA shoe. Okay, I missed that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, in a nutshell, the idea behind the shoe was to find a way to go really fast down the hills, right? And in a time in which all the things that we were seeing in the industry were minimalist shoes. Because that was the fad, Like, I mean, I ran a road marathon in Vibram Five Fingers. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I also did partake in that.
You read Born to Run, is what you're saying.
Oh, I just came back from Caballo Blanco, so that's how I had a chance to run it. Like, what was it? 3 weekends ago? 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So definitely read the book. Have a couple of copies. Have the audiobook.
We all did.
Yeah. Well, we had him on our show too. Mr. McDougall and his coach on the show.
Oh, the man himself.
Yeah. We didn't have Barefoot Ted though, or
We didn't. No.
no, no.
But no, that was I mean, it was that was a life-changing event for a lot of people. And for me, it made all the difference for my running. That's how I got the great form that you guys witnessed today. That's how I got it.
Amazing.
So it actually made a huge difference. And I remember going into a shoe store after the Vermont Marathon and looking at these fucking Hokas, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What the fucking fuck? Everything's just like stacked up, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna work. and yet here we are, right?
And they do, right?
They do. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I feel like I remember starting, I think I started with one or two, one of the early versions, and it felt like a moon shoe. Like we're talking, they seemed bigger than they are now.
Oh yeah, 100%. We
I don't know
definitely
if
changed
it's
a little bit of the geometry, a little bit of the stack. I
Mhm.
started in the Bondi 3, so
Mhm.
we're in the Bondi 8 now. So I started the 3 back in, I think, 14. And granted, I as a runner had a lot of different brands in rotations, right? Before working full time for Hoka. But yeah, I think that I always had at least one Hoka in my rotations, I feel like. But yeah, back in 14, yeah, you're right. The Hokas were like a platform shoes, right? Like I think moon shoes is a very, very
So
accurate description.
what year did they really hit the market? Because I'm kind of losing track of this. Do you remember?
So it was 2009.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
2009 between, you know, the development, let's say, was 2009, 2008, 2009. And
Mhm.
as soon as that first prototype was done, they hit UTMB, right? A handful of athletes, use Hoka. And then that's, we can say that maybe 2010, 11, that's when we started to see Hoka a little bit more out of that niche. Because I think it's a little bit like, it's like every other brand, right? Like I remember when On started, I was working for a Swiss company and I went to Switzerland a lot. And I bought a pair of Ons before they were sold in the US, and they were sold like in a handful of stores. And I remember when I came back to the office with my pair of Ons, it was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, this Swiss thing that I bought at that Swiss shop in the middle of Zurich, and nobody probably is going to hear about it, but I just like the color. So, so it's a little bit like that. I mean, Hoka really, I think, exploded with the pandemic, to be fair. A lot of healthcare workers, a lot of people going outside, you know.
And Tova, are you allowed to wear other shoes, or can you only wear Hokas working for Hoka? It's a big question I
That
have.
is a very
Good
good
question.
question, Rob. I have two answers for that question. From a market, I mean, I'm marketing, right? So from a market, I mean, if you work in marketing, you better own the product, right? Like it's part of it, right? I can tell you this. I can tell you that when I first started with Coca, I still had other shoes in the rotation, but as I started to learn about the brand, and we have like so many offerings, I genuinely did not wear anything else out of personal conviction. And I will preach the Hoka Godspell every day, all day. Um, it took me a little bit to understand a little bit, what shoe does what to have a Hoka in every aspect of my rotation, like a Hoka for daily runner, a Hoka for race day, a Hoka for trail, Hoka for ultra, all that fun stuff, right? And of course, the privilege of money is not that much of a problem when you work for the brand, right?
You're making all that money.
That's right. Like if you need to wash your car, you got like the Hoka
Oh yeah,
sponge.
I go I go for the most expensive one for the washing the car just because I
Smoking
can.
jacket, Hoka. Hoka's for everything.
That's right. Cat running in the garbage. You got the Hoka. Not that you're going
Got
to
the
throw
Hoka
your
for that.
Hoka in the garbage, but
Mhm.
oh my gosh. So Rob, what questions do you got there? I'm jumping. I am just dying for these questions.
And so I don't know, Tovar, if you wanted. So my idea was when I made this video, I make a lot of videos, as you know, not to make it about me, but I have a bit of a problem with making these videos. And this video in particular was one that I was exploring other shoes outside of my normal Hoka rotation. So we're talking Nike Pegasuses. And I had tried these on a run, and oh my goodness, they were just very uncomfortable. They're very stiff, and the uppers were a mess. And having run in Hokas for a while, I just felt like, man, these were just subpar for what I was expecting in a running shoe and a daily trainer. Now, a bit about me is that I run, like, I've been running about 80-ish miles a week, and I've been cutting down after my last half marathon. I ran the New York City half marathon. I think it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. So I have just been, now that I'm not full load going with the mileage, I've been trying some new things, and I tried the Pegasus, and that experience trying the Pegasus was just so upsetting, so frustrating, that I felt like the only response was to make this hate video of the Nike Pegasus, of identifying the things that were not great about it. The drop, the stiffness, the discomfort, the rubbing, the design, everything about it that I had to, the smell, the taste. I did I drank a beer out of it. Like after the run, I poured a beer. That I didn't actually do that, but sometimes I do that. Fireball. Sometimes I pour Fireball and light them on fire. Not in this case because I had to return it. But I felt such chagrin, disdain, unhappiness for this Pegasus that I had to throw it in the garbage.
Throw them in the trash.
That was the end of the video, and it is racked up. I think we're 140,000 views and counting. This is only going to support that shoe. But what it has done, it has created a small time capsule of a forum where people are now feeling a desire, an urge, a necessity to recommend different shoe types to me in the comments of that video.
Okay, like help you in your quest.
In my quest to find shoes that are not just Hokas, because people know I'm a Hoka super fan. I frequently post about it. I've had other videos directly about Hoka, ranking Hokas that have gotten well over 100,000 views, 200,000 views. So I essentially work for Hoka without Tovar's great pay, where he can wear all these awesome Hokas all the time. But
and Tovar's just here to say thank you.
Yeah,
exactly, and that's it.
On behalf of the company.
Thank you on behalf of the company.
I came here for that one thank you. But yeah, so that was the video. That's the context of the video. Yep. And I've gotten many, many different comments on that video. And in fact, even today, yeah, I'm working. It might look like I'm a hardworking guy, but I did go to the Nike store and try on the what do they call it? The Incredibles 3 or the Invincibles 3.
Yes, Invincible.
And, I didn't like them. Didn't even buy them. Didn't spend the 180 on them. Felt uncomfortable on my feet.
I think that there's nothing wrong with loving a brand. Like honestly, I think that in the industry right now, every brand has so many different types of shoes that if you have brand loyalty, you can still have a healthy rotation, right? Because one of the discussions we have as runners is, am I going to just get used to this one brand of shoes and my legs are going to be lazy, my feet are going to be lazy, or, am I being too guarded with this specific shoe? Or, for example, some brands that have a high heel to toe drop, am I just gonna doing something to my body from just running in that brand or in that shoe? But I think that nowadays, running has exploded so much that we're very far from the only running shoe was the Cortez. Right, the Nike Cortez, the Forrest Gump shoe, like back that's what it was, right? And the only thing that the industry played with was how much distance from the ground. That was it. But everybody was using rubber and everybody was using leather. But now I feel like there's nothing wrong with having, brand loyalty and staying with just one brand if that's the one that actually suits you. I probably would have not said this 5 years ago, right? Because I think that, some years ago, you would have a very specific ride for every specific brand, and there was not a variety. Like even within, you just talked about Nike, right? But even within Nike, you have that Invincible, you have the Pegasus, you have the Nike Free, the Alpha. Like you have so many different things that you could just do everything in the same brand.
I find that's that's generally been my response to most people is that like I can find there's some I've used at one point I've used just about every brand except for Nike because I fucking hate them. I don't know. And there's like a lot of, Nike has a lot of baggage with it, right? I mean, in so many ways.
I'm gonna say the
But
one super shoe that I
it's-
didn't like was the Alpha Fly, so I'm right there with you.
yeah, agreed. Like, okay, so they, and what we can, I definitely want to get into the carbon, the carbon
Sure.
angle and stuff like that. I mean, because you got to give credit where it's due for that. But like generally speaking, just it's never really worked for me. So, but I've always found that whether it's a Asics or whether it's a Saucony or Innovate or On or whatever, except On picks up too many rocks, but they hold pencils nicely. So I like, but I like the way they look too, but whatever. So I've always been able to find some, I can usually find brand doesn't really matter with me. Cause like a lot of people will post that idiotic fucking post on the internet. Like, what shoes should I buy?
Oh my God, that's the worst kind of post, right? Like where do I even freaking start, dude? Like I've been looking for my shoe for like 20 years of running and I still and
Yeah.
I still change a little bit every season, right?
Gotcha. Well, I kind of cut Rob off here too. So I wanted to let you kind of continue a little bit there with different ideas that you might have had or different, different things that you had to bring up, Rob. Was there,
Yeah.
I
So
don't want to cut you off there.
some of my thoughts that I've had just
Yeah.
about maybe good ideas that you might have about Hokas in general or in the brand. So I've heard lately that older people are taking on Hokas more, like that generation has really been embracing Hokas more so. I've heard people tell me that. Have you guys ever considered a Hoka that smells like Ben Gay?
There
I
you
think I
go.
think that we you know what? It's a very good idea if we also had a matching color, right? Make sure that we have the same colors that come in the packaging, you know?
Mhm.
So
That
so
that would
you
work.
so you put it right next to your dresser, right?
Uh-huh. I think that's a
Every
great.
time you
Okay,
step in,
so
you get a whiff, and then like, oh man, smells like home.
yeah, I think that would definitely be a possibility. My other idea I had was there's also been news that I heard that President Biden
Oh
has
yeah.
begun
Yeah,
wearing Hokas.
he's got a pair
Now,
of Hokas. Yeah.
you know how I think in Nike, some of the brand label or is a silhouette of Michael Jordan dunking. Would you guys ever consider doing a silhouette of President Biden stumbling?
I just call it the presidential line.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well,
So
that's
that's
you
an
know. Are you
idea.
sure you're not in marketing, man, in the footwear?
Well,
I have a lot. So I go on these runs and I have so many more. Like I have a million
he
more.
wants to make running great again. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have the matching hat.
hmm I just have something that says fandom. I don't even know what fandom means, but it might be helpful. Limited edition shoes. Maybe you number them and only make a certain amount. Then
Interestingly
people
enough,
collect
we
them.
do we do have some of those. Like we have some collaborations, and they have like I mean they're not numbered, but we have like maybe like 300 of them. And when they sell out, they sell out, and it's freaking
Are
crazy,
they
man.
aged or something? What's different about them? Are they a unique color?
Yeah, so sometimes it's a colorway. Like for example, we had one last year with the designer, and she just made it was just a regular Hoka shoe, but she made it in her own colors, right? And that was
mm,
it. It was an artist gave like a makeover to the shoe, to the Mafate, and we put it out there, and it sold out like in hours. Like I remember I wanted to get a pair, and by the time I decided to pull the trigger on it, they were gone.
mm.
It's a good
We did
idea.
Probably get them
another
on the
collaboration
resale
with
market.
Satisfy Running. Like we do that kind of thing. Surprisingly, the lifestyle part, it's just skyrocketing, man. Like, I don't know in what moment it happened, but Hoka has become very trendy.
Mm. Hey, Fred, you were saying something there?
I'm just gonna say if you have limited editions that you put up and they sell out in hours, you can get them on the resale market for like $500 probably.
Yep.
It's there's always a resale market for it.
eBay,
Jeez.
it's amazing for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like our original episodes. Those go for a lot these days.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
You can't afford it.
nope. If you have to ask. So
If you have to ask, you can't afford it, man.
yeah, absolutely. Wow. So
What else? I guess I a couple other ideas. They're not as good. They're sort of my B tier list. Different outside of carbon, different
mhm.
material that might be trendier. Graphite, diamond, any other. Would you ever consider doing a different type of carbon material?
Uh,
Titanium.
Yeah,
the diamond
something
would be
very
very
different.
unaffordable, dude. Uh,
Hold on, wait. Oh, because carbon's such a fucking bargain, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Why are
you
these
are
shoes so
not wrong in there,
expensive?
friend. You're not wrong. Yeah, it definitely comes like a yeah. But
Um,
it's worth it though. I mean, really, I don't
oh,
know. Like, what are you guys looking for a shoe? Like, you tell me. Like, are you into carbon plated shoes? Do you like them?
it's so yeah. Rob, I'll tell you what, Rob, have you run in carbons yet? Like, I
yeah,
would imagine you have, like, because you're, you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm running the Rocket. I haven't done the CLO. I think that's how you pronounce it yet. But I
yep,
tend to run in Alpha Flies and Vapor Flies when I'm racing.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Gotcha,
yeah.
yeah, because that's been, I think, um, I mean, that's when that first hit, it just really like I'm thinking back to to the trials 4 years ago, the marathon trials, and then even before that when some just a couple things started, they kind of hit the market, and at first, you're like, oh yeah, Nike's got this thing, and then all of a sudden you start watching these YouTube videos with you know, where they have people hooked up to machines, and and you see the percentage that that it actually helps. So um so how was, now you weren't with Hoka at that point, correct?
I
When
know I
really
was
when the
not.
carbons hit?
But I was on the other side buying all those shoes. Like, a
Oh,
lot of my
gotcha. Yeah,
paycheck
yeah,
went into that.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, you're right, man. I mean, in the end, carbon fiber plated shoes, I think they're here to stay because
Oh
um,
yeah.
on the like, if we talk about the original, I mean, and honestly, you have to give merit what is due, right? Like, Nike really pushed it. They had a very ambitious project, and it just made sense, and it was so cool to watch too. Like, but it definitely changed the industry forever, right? Like, carbon
Mm.
fiber plates are in every single brand now. Um, and I think I was reading earlier today, I think it's 18 brands that have an offering with carbon fiber plates, which is nuts. But now science has proven that it's just not about that 4%, that there's also some benefits to it as well. There's less fatigue in certain areas of your legs. There's a lot of people that actually have, I don't know if you know this, but there's some people that, depending if they had like surgery in a toe or some screws because of a fracture and that kind of stuff, they had to use carbon fiber insoles to keep the stiffness of the shoe, and now you can just use a carbon fiber plated shoe.
Mm. So they
So
actually
now, like,
save
there's this,
money.
yeah, right. I mean, you know, it's just this whole thing, man. Like, it's just really exploding because
Yeah.
now you don't have to be like this super fast elite runner to have some benefits out of the shoe.
Yeah. I mean, now with the competitiveness, especially of, the big thing that comes to mind immediately is the Boston Marathon or any other really competitive race. Like, if you're an age grouper and you're going to try to show up at something like Manchester, and I mean, I know guys who have been battling out, who have lost or won their age group at Manchester Road Race by, it was by 1 second. It was by
Yeah,
1 second. So if one person has the shoes and another person doesn't, like, why you're going to work that hard, and why the hell are you not going to have, the best shoes that you can get? Like, if that's your thing, I mean, and to win, listen, especially around here, if you're placing at Manchester, that's a resume win. That's you win your age group at Manchester. That's a pretty big, Manchester Road Race. That's a pretty big, it's a pretty big deal. Or to get into Boston, right? I mean, you're
Right.
all of a sudden, if everybody else is using them, it's almost like the arms race, right?
That
So
sets the standard.
yeah, that you have to, the 4% is now, you can't, or whatever you want to call it, you can't like just leave that on the table
Now
and
it's the
say,
baseline.
yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's always a conversation that I like to have with people. Like, there is, there is an aspect for performance, right? Like, and it's just like you said, like you're not gonna show, on a track to race in a Corolla. There's nothing wrong with a Corolla, but
Mhm.
but it's just not up to par with everything else on the track, right? And I
Mm.
think that's something that we have to keep in the back of our heads, right? Like it's this type of shoes are performance based. It's about
Mhm.
getting the most out of your running experience. Um, we're seeing now, like I said, that there's some other benefits to it. So, for example, in our case, coming from the HOKA perspective, Rob, you were saying that you've run in the Rocket X2, which was
Mhm.
our shoe that we released last year, which is an awesome carbon plated shoe. We just released the Cielo X1 in February in Orlando at the Marathon Trials.
Mhm.
Um, Amazing. We changed the geometry. We tweaked the materials a little bit more, the fit. I don't think it's better than the Rocket X2. I think it's different. But because of everything that I was saying, we're in the next month or so, we're going to have another offering that is also going to open to other types of runner that can also benefit. And I think that that's what you have to do. Just kind of like, how do you get the most out of that material, depending on what type of racing you're going to do, or what type of
Mm.
runner you are.
Yeah. Now, do you have any feedback as far as because it seems like shoes are surging, like it seems like at different times, like so certainly Nike made that, Nike drew first blood, right? And then lots of even sponsored runners were and whatever, Nike kind of stacked the deck, so to speak, by setting up what the rules are going to be based upon their offering and stack height and design parameters, and maybe they're in whatever. We could go into like the influence that Nike has on USATF and all the control that they have of that market. They do lots of good things for the industry, but they also make sure they do good things that are in their own best interest,
I mean,
right?
it's a business, right?
Yeah.
Likewise,
Oh,
yeah.
of course, of course. I mean,
Like
so
that double bill.
they do that, but then all of a sudden, then you see all of a sudden a world record being broken by Adidas. I mean, by Adidas with their one race shoe, right? Their disposable
Yeah.
footwear, allegedly, and but then at the marathon trials, all of a sudden, like I think Puma's like kicking ass, right?
Mhm.
And what the fuck's a Puma, right? I mean, we haven't heard. I haven't heard. I've kind of forgot. Like since my Puma Clydes, I wasn't thinking of them even as a
Yeah,
running
I think
brand. Yet
Molly
they're
Seidel was wearing Pumas, I believe. She had that super shoe. They were
Yeah,
like
they
in a
did great
dozen.
with women, actually,
Mhm.
particularly in the
yeah.
trials. And with men's, I think it was Asics
Uh-huh.
and Nike up there.
So I wonder how much it has to do with who is, you know, who is winning the best runners, or is it, is it the chicken or the egg there? What do you think about that?
That is a solid question, man. And I think that part of it is we also have to understand that some brands are going to have, quote unquote, more buying power, right? Like in the end,
Mhm.
if you're an athlete, and X brand is paying you $10 to use their brand, and
Mhm.
this other brand is paying you five. As much as you like the $5, the one that's paying you five, you're gonna go with the 10 because in the end,
Mm.
it's also this part of this is your living, this is your livelihood, right? Like you're a professional athlete. Um,
Of course, yeah.
I have a close friend that she's very honest about it. She will switch brands very often, and that's how she says it. Like, I need to. This is the races that I want to do, and this is how much money I need to be able to be a full-time athlete. And if
Mm.
X brand is not up to par, then I'm going to go with the other one.
Yeah.
And I think that when you think about it, I mean, in the end, there's no shoe that is going to make you be the best runner in the world, right? Like it's about the training, it's about the athlete that you are. The
Mhm.
shoe is definitely a tool, but I think that in that regards, like we really don't know what's happening, behind closed doors. Like we really don't know how an athlete ends up with that brand. I mean, it's like the whole controversy on the final steps of the marathon trials. I don't know if you guys followed it, but the guy that was winning just literally slowed down so that
Oh,
his
yes.
body could
Yeah,
get the
sure.
win,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, as a brand, you probably are pissed off, right? Because as a brand, you want, why didn't we just get the win? But
hmm
there's a number of things that we don't know. Like we don't know if it was a competitive, like a good sportsmanship thing. Like maybe it's like, hey, we're buddies. We've trained
It
so much.
was. I mean,
I know that you really want it.
yeah.
Go for it. But I also don't know if like, hey man, my contract with this brand is so much better that you just take the extra bonus. I'm good. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if my bonus was for top 5 and yours is only for first place. So, and because
Mhm.
we're buddies, we're gonna like. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but my point is like when you go
But
to that
that's what
level of
happened.
competitiveness,
Yeah.
when you go to that level, you truly don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that whatever it was looking at, and that might have been part of it. It is unusual to see people, but not unprecedented to see people run a race and then give it up at the end most of the time, especially when the stakes are that high. But we were talking about first and second with that. It's definitely like 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember that he gave him the win, right? It's your resume win or whatever. So
Yeah, because in the end, it's what you're going to be measured in is not your Olympic trial; it's the actual Olympics,
yeah.
right?
But I think it was also a very personal thing, though. I think because they trained together and they were, they were friends, and I think, and now I'm like forgetting the name. Young, was that the name?
Is Clayton Young? Yeah.
Clayton Young, yeah.
Thank
So
you.
he
Yes,
was.
I was also
He was.
blanking on the name. Thanks, Rob.
He was basically like dragging. He was basically carrying them along and probably actually held up. I think. Or maybe I got that backwards. I'm sorry. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
pretty sure that they ran together most of the way anyway. And I
Yes.
know Clayton Young and Connor Mance were training partners. So
Yes.
Yeah, Clayton was kind of like pulling Connor,
Yeah.
and then
This
just
time.
yeah.
But there had been other races where that wasn't, where that wasn't the case. So
yeah, and I think us casuals don't really think as much. And I guess this is where marketing comes in and plays a part, that we don't really think as much about like how marketing and the money influences everything. And I guess that's sort of what marketing is counting on, that we're sort of thinking like, oh, I love these athletes. I follow these athletes on Instagram or
mhm.
TikTok, and I feel close to them. And now they're representing this brand. So you sort of in your head, without thinking, believe that that's the brand they like. That's what they wear. That's what is helping them get to this point. But
Yes.
to think that like a lot of that might just be, oh, well, they paid me 10,000 more dollars. And I guess that is sort of like an idealistic view, that they might actually like the product as opposed to just wanting money. But it honestly does, stretching back to like Nike. Nike's was a sponsorship that everyone wanted back in the day. Not saying
Mhm.
that people necessarily wanted to run in Nikes, but they probably just wanted the big deal from Nike.
Mm.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you also have like that romantic. You have some romantic stories in the industry. Like it's not like and not because it's a trail running podcast, but in trail running, I feel like you have a lot of these romantic stories, right? Like
Mhm.
you have Kilian Jornet, who went with Salomon to the very end until he pursued his own thing. But Salomon developed shoes for their world records, right? I mean, it was truly a partnership, and we had at HOKA we had a similar experience with Jim Wamsley for UTMB.
Mhm.
You know, stay tuned because later this year, we will release the byproduct of that lovely partnership, and you do have this romantic stories in which brands actually work with the runner to develop a product for a specific race for a specific need. And
Yes.
of course, that stems into a product that you can sell, of course. But
Yeah, Speed Goat's a great example, right?
That's
there you go.
the ultimate trail running example, I would say, right? I mean,
There you go.
that is and that's like it definitely has some name recognition through some different partnerships that you guys have had. Now Mike Wardian, now he was one of the earlier sponsored runners, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I just picture him like I think he used to wear a marathon guide cap where that was like his brand. And then then all of a sudden, anytime I saw the Hoka on the hat, I just thought like, oh, there's Mike Wardian. Oh, no,
Mike Wardian is awesome. Another thing that he does, which is really cool, not to talk him up, he's us. I don't know if you know that these guys, but he's an adaptive athlete guide.
What way?
He is an adaptive athlete guide, so he is the pacer for runner for runners with disabilities, and just kind of like, make sure that they stay on pace for whatever whatever marathon time they want to do.
Wow. So does he make them go really quick, or does he slow down for them?
Well, I myself, I'm also a guide, and it's kind of like the way it works is like, if I'm guiding, I don't know, let's say I'm guiding Joe, to give a name, right? Joe says, I want to finish the marathon in 3:35. Then, it's my job to keep that pace for him. And of course, you have to run at a pace that if you're guiding, that has to be a very comfortable pace for you, obviously, because you're tending to the needs to another runner.
Like, right? As a pacer.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you have like another thing, like, for example, if you're running with a blind athlete, it's also, here's your gel, careful here, careful there. You have to be on, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very good.
That is
so. Really that's something a little cool fact about Mike Wardian.
Yeah, I think you guys might need some more of these sponsored athletes. You've had a lot of really good ones, and I know that I think the mile walking record was set in 2017. Would you guys ever consider doing like a sub-2 type project, but breaking the walking a mile world record? That was another one of my questions about HOKA, or ideas about HOKA. Sub-2 project, walking the quickest mile in HOKAs.
Yeah, I love it, man. Actually, that's a very good idea.
In a mall.
It's a lot to
the random outlets.
Malls in the industry.
Right there, baby. You can use that one, Tovar. You don't tell them you didn't. Yeah, I didn't hear that shit on Cultra. I just made that up.
I just made it up, man. We're gonna bring the fastest walkers.
That's right. One more. Art had sort of brought this idea up. One more idea. This is my last idea. But there's that Adidas Adizero that's supposedly a one-time use shoe that is also a super shoe. Has HOKA ever considered doing less than a one-time use shoe, where this shoe literally starts dissolving halfway through the race?
Halftime, just use 2 shoes for the race.
Have a transition. 5% back. It's 5% performance boost, but it dissolves.
Or get one that's 7%, but you lose 2% in the transition, but then you get that back, and then you give it back to them in a credit that they can buy their next pair of shoes. So kind of like
1/7 up.
It's calling it HOKA forward or something, paying it forward. So,
dude, that's amazing, man. Like, oh my God, imagine just having to transition at mile 13, man.
Well, that's what you need. You need these so maybe you keep the upper with your minimalist shoe, right? And then you just kind of step into the
snap into another midsole outsole.
It's just you click it sideways, kind of like a bike, like cleats.
Yeah. Well, kidding but not, Killian Jornet is trying to do that with his brand.
Oh.
So Killian Jornet with his brand Normal, he is releasing a shoe that is exactly that. You change the midsole depending if you want something firmer, something softer.
Okay.
And so you get a shoe with 3 midsoles.
Like they're detachable, or is it like
It's like a detachable penis.
Is it like that?
Exactly like that. It is exactly like that, man.
Those are blow up. I think you blow. Not that I know anything about detachable penis. I believe you blow those up.
No, Reebok already had that, or Nike did,
right? The little push guy.
That's right.
Yeah, that was Reebok. No. This is a fully interchangeable.
Oh my gosh.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow.
His whole thing is just being more sustainable. So his thing is like, why have 3 shoes if you can just switch out the midsole? I don't know.
Fred, what are you thinking? Fred, what's your take? You've been we've been keeping you quiet here. What do you think of that?
It sounds promising. Why
You'll
not?
allow it.
Sure. I've seen in the Tour de France, if you're in a mountain stage, if the climbs come late in the race, sometimes people swap bikes. They hop off, get on another bike, or even in a time trial, right? So how different is that than changing your shoe out?
Great point. They have a lot of bikes, huh?
Yeah, well,
They do got them. They
a lot of
can't. They have
money
so many. They can't even fit them in the car. They have to carry them on the roof, right?
on the roof.
So,
They're that big?
yeah, I mean, it's. I don't
I'm just
know.
used to shoes. I put shoes in my bag. I got shoes all over the place, but those bikes just sound like next level, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they can do that. So, but
There's this,
let's
I don't know. I was sorry, Art, go ahead.
no. I think we're good here. I don't know where we were going with that one, but that is a good question though. Sustainability. What does that look like these days for you guys?
Yeah, so that is the million-dollar question because unfortunately, the footwear industry is one of the worst industries for the environment, and
What?
that's just
Really?
that's just a fact, right? Like
Why?
The worst,
Uh,
Rob. The fucking
one of
worst.
the worst.
I
Yes.
thought it was cars. Aren't cars pretty bad?
Well, yeah, cows are pretty
Or
bad.
cows.
Let's say
Cows
like
are
the
bad.
worst thing.
No, runners fart a lot, Rob. They do.
Is the
They
methane I
breathe
produce in my
oxygen.
loins, Tobar?
I mean, part of it is just, part of it. All right, we can dissect this a lot, man. Like part of it is, of course, you know, people like to have a shit ton of shoes, right? I mean, people just like shoes, right? Like, I mean, we are guilty sometimes of having the same pair of shoes in just two different colors. It happens. I mean, let's face it.
Like
I've had my favorite pair of shoes in two different colors.
or
Some I have the same
four
colors.
different colors, the
Sure,
same
yeah.
we have
multiple copies of each. I
know-
used to have to
I know an
number
ultra
my
runner-
shoes. Just
That
I
was
got to
the
talk
first
about this.
limited edition. Art was numbering your shoe limited edition, baby.
I would get the shoes. I would get the shoes, and like what happens is that you wear a pair of shoes, and you get it going, and you're working it in, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Fuck! I got a race coming up. I just want to buy a new pair, but I'm going to keep these because I'm still going to run in them, and I'll still talk to you, girl. It's okay. It's not over. I just got somebody else a little bit here. This new one in the rotation.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a
Just go
sudden,
with the younger one.
yeah, before you know it, you're like,
yeah.
you bump into that shoe like 6 months later, and you're like, who are you? You look familiar, but I don't remember your name. And it's like,
I
well,
was
we've
drunk.
done hundreds of miles together, but
You feel
like,
different. You look different. Yeah.
so I had to start numbering them on the back of them so that I would try to match up the pairs because they all
That's
look the
smart,
same.
though. That's smart though. So
That's super smart, man.
let's talk about
so
the,
yeah,
the
let's talk that. Let's
environmental
talk about.
thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say, Rob?
Yeah, let's talk about the environmental thing and like
Yeah. So okay, couple of things. One, well, first of all, every iteration that we have of HOKA products, we keep trying to reduce the carbon footprint somehow. For example,
But not the literal
Wait.
footprint.
Let me
The
get
actual
this right.
footprint
So,
is really big.
no, the actual footprint
Right.
is really big because you want a
Huge.
big space of support. That's
so
It's a carbon footprint. Okay.
I don't. So let me get this right. You're making fucking carbon shoes to reduce the carbon footprint. How does that
That's
work?
what we're hearing.
I don't get this.
Oh,
I'm confused.
I'm
Don't
gonna
very
I won't be able to
confusing
talk myself
so
out of this.
Rob,
one, dude.
explain this. We need a video.
that's tomorrow's video. We're doing this. It's going to be a footprint thing. It's very confusing. But
Just take the carbon plate out and reduce it with the Dremel.
Just Tovar, let's just say that the next words you say could define your career. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta hear the.
We're try to reduce the waste in the manufacturing of the shoe. All right. So we use, and that's with a lot of things. Like we use textiles that are more environmentally friendly. Also, the dyes. I don't know if you know, but like putting color into textile, it's it can pollute a lot depending on the color.
I didn't know.
We use sugarcane EVA, which it's less harmful for the environment. So every new generation of HOKA has a lot more sustainability in mind. Some of our shoes are actually some of our uppers are made of recycled materials entirely. So that's the one thing. And the other thing that we do is just try to increase the durability of the shoes. I mean, if you want to have it in 5 colors, that's on you, but but you could stay with the same pair for a longer period of time because we're just increasing the durability as much as we can. Whether that is, putting a more abrasion resistant outsole to make sure that you can run in them a little bit longer. Our foams tend to last a long time feeling fresh. As Rob knows, you step into a pair of Hokas and they still have the foam still feels very okay after several hundred miles. And this is something that is engraved into how we manufacture it. Sometimes when people say, why are you not making this color or not making this product? Sometimes the reason behind it is just because we found a better way for the environment, a better color, a better material.
And it's because Rob won't let you, because Rob, he's fucking complaining, and he won't let you make the shoes.
I won't do it. Yeah.
No.
Just let us, man.
He's going to complain. I can't. We would, but Rob says no, and we don't want the bad press on his fucking show. It's tough. I mean,
wait. So, you guys would you ever use these AI robots to make the shoes? Have you considered? What do you think about these AI robots, Tovar? Would you ever take those on to make these shoes, though?
You know what? I am very, very ignorant in manufacturing with robots, I would say. I mean, I personally think that there are certain jobs that you can definitely have machines do. But I am also like low-key afraid that we're going to treat them so poorly that they're going to take vengeance on us in 100 years.
So the robots are making the shoes. Happen. Go ahead, Fred.
No, that's definitely going to happen.
Fuck. And Rob,
they're going to rise up like, remember when they had us making shoes?
Yeah. He's an attorney. He can't lie. Okay.
Oh, no.
If he says this shit, it's like,
wait,
I saw the movie. Rob probably saw it. Come on.
Or maybe, I'm sorry. No, I got that wrong. He's an attorney, so he's always lying.
Oh, yeah.
Who's an attorney? Backwards. One of you's an attorney?
Fred is.
Fred's an attorney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My God. And he lies.
He's at least a lawyer. I don't know. He's actually an attorney.
Wait, is he here in case I say something dumb? Is he representing me?
Follow my lead, allegedly.
As far as you know.
Okay, allegedly.
Well, I appreciate the thought.
And it's not like this is being recorded. Oh.
When do we start recording
it? I guess we did. So what do you do? Like, so we just brought up the legal issue, right? How do you guys protect yourself from cheap knockoffs?
Definitely.
Because I have to say, it's very tempting because so I just saw a pair of shoes advertised on a Facebook site of a remote, out in the Berkshires. Okay. And they were advertising not Hokas, but Nokas. Okay. Nokas, yes. And they don't have a Vibram sole. They have a Byram sole that has a 112-mile guarantee on it. It has this short-term memory foam. So it's pretty interesting stuff. So I don't know. Like,
does the memory foam
sue
change
people for that or no?
So the short memory terms changes if you drink?
Probably.
It could. I mean,
they're not good drinking shoes.
No. They drain well, but seriously. So do you guys find how much of a concern is that?
There is. I mean, I honestly, I think that every single brand is I think that it's also not just the counterfeiting, but also how people take advantage of the brand to scam people. Like there's these websites that say, Hoka $40, and you just get your money, and that's it, right? So part of something that I can tell you is that Hoka is never gives discounts. And
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, I mean it's just the way it is. The only
they make sure that
you go to REI and you see a Hoka shoe on a discounted price, it's going to be the same price on the website from Hoka. So we only like, for example, right now we have discounted prices for shoes that are on the way out, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like if you want to know what's the best price you can get in the market, is going to be on Hoka.com because it's going to be the exact same price for the retailer. So if something is significantly cheaper, it's probably a red flag.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have people asking me that all the time. Pretty much every week, I get some family member or friend sending me a link saying like, "Hey, does this look legitimate?" And I always say no. Like, you're not going to get a brand new pair of like Cliftons or Rincons or any of those for $40 or
For $30. Yeah.
Well,
dumb
Yeah.
dumb. You're getting scammed.
these Nokas were, I think they were like $9.25
And how
with
many
free.
pairs did you buy
I actually
before
want
you
to buy a
realized
pair of
there's-
Nokas now.
I might want to do it. I think like we did have a cheap shoe challenge at one point, so I think Jimmy Mack did some some research there. Um,
I certainly do feel like I have bought eBay Hokas when like a number that I liked that had
Sure.
passed that wasn't being sold was available only on eBay, and it was certainly not the same shoe. Like they were not as they didn't have the longevity of the normal Cliftons or something like that. So it certainly does actually exist of people counterfeiting those shoes, which is weird that there's a whole counterfeiting shoe industry out there. That's probably
It's
bad.
crazy. Like if you go on Alibaba, the
Yeah.
Yes.
what is it? Is it where is that based out? It's Chinese, right? I mean, the guy's Chinese, right? The
China,
owner.
yeah.
I mean, you can find almost everything. Like you can find like a Cannondale bicycle for like $100.
Definitely.
like they counterfeit everything,
that-
man.
Or that Timu or whatever it's called. But if you
Yeah, exactly.
if you buy anything from there, basically it's guaranteed to come with like spyware in it, and like
Recording
they just
systems.
fucking you're like infected with like fleas and viruses.
Mhm.
And it's gonna fuck you up,
Allegedly.
man.
Don't hack my computer.
Yeah, they already have.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So speaking, we did touch on AI. So do you know how active, like, have you had any secret meetings that you're not allowed to talk about that like say like, yeah, AI is our new future here, and we just
with the design.
we're using that in our design phases. I mean, I have to imagine that everybody uses every available tool, especially in something as cutting edge as that. But have you
Sure thing.
heard anything on that?
I think that if I had a secret meeting about that, I would be making a lot more money. That it's definitely way above my pay grade.
So they're not filling you in about the AI stuff then, huh?
No, I mean honestly, I have never met my boss. As far as I know, he may be an avatar. So
Did you just say that you've never met your boss?
No, I have. Yeah, he's a good guy. He lives actually in Smithfield, Rhode Island. I have seen him in real life.
You're saying he's not an AI, like a fake human.
He's not.
That they've created.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Well, for a little bit though, are you guys like so Teams, Microsoft Teams, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Microsoft Teams is kind of like the preferred, casual contacting method in every company now. For a while there, everybody at HOKA went for avatars, and it was just off-putting, man. It was so off-putting. Everybody had the avatars.
There.
I was like, dude, if you're in your pajamas, just turn your camera off. Don't put a freaking cartoon person there.
It's creepy. It's like you're working in a Disney movie.
Right? It's creepy as fuck. But anyway, when it comes to a designing process, I mean, it's honestly very involved. Like it's like there's literally people working on it with athletes all the time. It's like roughly like the whole cycle is it can go like for 18 months. Like right now we're working on the shoe that you're going to see in 2025.
Yes.
Oh wow.
But they're also like, I know like a big thing is to get the to get the shoes out, the prototypes out to the elite athletes, and to also at the same time, I think technically most of the time for them to be legal in competition, they have to be available to the public, right? Meaning limited edition, and only Rob gets them, and
I hope so. After this,
shit like that. Big podcast hosts, like
Well, actually, interesting that you say it. Yes, most brands, and this is something that it's not a secret. Like if there's a product that's going to be used, they probably put it on sale, but they only they put it for sale, not on sale. They put for sale on their website, probably only size 4.5.
Oh yeah.
To keep it still with
little kids or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Child
loophole, but
labor.
you know, it's a
Follow the
loophole,
money.
but you can do it.
Wow, I didn't know there were all these little secrets that they do, huh? They tell you about the secrets though, huh?
Well, I mean, you've been if you've been like about you know, around the block for a little bit. Yeah, a lot of brands do that. Like, you know, the shoe that was used in that competition was, um, you know, just coincidentally being sold on the website only in like two sizes, and they only had one pair and got sold out in an hour, right?
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that does happen. For us, our testing, we actually you know, we some of the testing we don't do it only with elite athletes, but also we do it with like average runners. Um, you know, a lot of us in the team have tested the shoes before they come out, and you know, they look nothing like the final shoe because they try to keep it, you know, it's like that pixelated film they put on cars when they're prototypes, so you don't
Oh yeah.
distinguish the features. So similar like that, like it's all black textile or colors totally different from what it's going to come,
Hmm.
you know. But yeah, there's like this also this process of testing it with the final user because not everybody's going to be an elite athlete. You know what I mean? You also want to know how it feels for, you know, for Tovar or Rob, like how did that feels on your foot?
And you guys don't do any of that animal testing because I wouldn't want any of these monkeys to be like super fast. I think that would be not something that I
It
would
will
prefer.
make it very different to escape from them, man.
I know it'd be like Planet of the Apes on that one, huh? Take over the New York City Marathon.
They did it. They finally did it.
But you guys don't do animal testing over
No,
there.
we're still all about having humans outrun animals and just, you know, making sure that the product is human only.
All right. So the survival of our species depends on this. So, question for you. I
Yeah.
wondered if now I know you know there's probably focus groups or to choose the designs and things like that. Have you guys ever done the study that I'd like to see is I'd like to see um, compare running times with different color shoes.
Mhm.
Because like
Oh,
I know that like
that
I've
is
had
cool.
racing flats and like, you can get racing flats that are just like a maroon or
Oh,
like something like that. But then you can
lame.
also get them like super bright fucking neon
Oh
and
yeah.
something that looks like super fast and like so obnoxious that you're like, man, if I put these on, you got to be fast with sparkles in the laces and stuff.
Mhm.
That's like the sign that used to be the giveaway sign that it was a good pair of shoes to race in is that they had sparkles in the laces. So I wonder if you ever did anything on the just the effects of the design on speed or
You guys got
performance
that data, Tovar?
So that
that
is
you can
actually very
share.
cool. That's a very cool question. I know personally about a couple of studies that have to do with the color and the temperature that it brings to your foot and hence the performance. So part of it, like
Okay.
it's not the same to run in a black shoe than in a white shoe, just period, just like your shirt. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's part of it. Like that's definitely something that has been studied. And for some uppers, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Like for some materials, it doesn't make that big of a difference. For some other materials, it does play a big role in how you manage the temperature, which also affects your performance.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
However, the psychological factor of it, I feel like red is faster.
It
Definitely.
is, right? It's
I
got to
mean, it
be.
has to be, right?
That's yeah, that's interesting about the color of the shoe. So the other part of that is I just wondered if you have any like anything that you could offer on. I think what I've heard is that some of the newer shoes that are coming out also tend to be taking in aerodynamics more.
Mhm.
Is that
Oh, that is
could you
super
talk about
interesting.
that and tell us maybe what you're hearing about that, if
So
anything,
that is
or
super
not?
interesting. I mean, I think I mean, that's a very, very deep dive question. For some sports, it's more relevant than others. Like, you know, in terms of the material. Like, for example, if you were thinking a sprinter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you were
Mm.
saying, you know, how you get a PR in a marathon for a second or two. Like when you're going for a sprinter, it's even less, right? We're talking
Fraction,
about
yeah.
you know, hundreds of seconds. So the way that the shoe is designed is more relevant for those applications versus long distance running. Long distance running, it's what is more relevant is about the materials, how bouncy they are, how much they save energy on your end, so that way you can keep a faster pace for longer, and how well vented your food is, because that like it's feet are like the rest of our body, right? If we are overheated, then we're in big trouble. So those things make more sense for more specific sports, like record-breaking spikes, for example, right?
Sure.
That's when you get more into those tiny details. When it comes to marathon or road running, it's you're looking at other things that affect more, and that's a little bit like what that 4% things come in, right? Like how much difference does this make in the shoe, and that kind of like reflects how much money you're going to spend in it.
I didn't know that the heat of the foot was such an important thing. And I guess that makes sense because I got those new Vaporflies, and the material is almost like a mesh on top. Vaporfly 3s. And it's really interesting because it is a little stiffer, but it certainly breathes better. So when I was doing the New York City Half Marathon, I felt as though I was getting a lot of airflow in the shoe as well, which would actually speak to what Art is saying about maybe if you increase airflow through the upper, if that's even a thing, would that help for a fraction of a second for the aerodynamic aspect of it? Maybe. I'm no scientist.
100%. But then you, like, for example, if you have a material that allows intake of air, it's not necessarily aerodynamic, right? Because then all the air is going in, you know what I mean? So that's exactly my point of, like, when you're talking about long distance, it's more about, that the performance goes into another aspect, like how much more can I keep you whole so that you can perform at your peak, and have that super cool race, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. Huh.
Wait, so is better performance tied to cooler feet?
That's one of the factors. Sure is one of the factors.
I would add this. I mean, as an expert I listen to a lot of podcasts, right, Fred? So
yes.
I listened to a Huberman, Dr. Huberman. I don't know if you've ever listened to his stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he talked about just the effects of heat on the body, and how the difference between certain points in your body act as thermostats, and other parts of your body act as more or less radiators or heat exchangers. And he was saying that, his take on it was the idea of wearing the ice around the neck is not necessarily a good thing, because that, although it feels cool when you first put it on, it also sends a message to your body that says that you're not overheated and that you don't need to try to cool yourself. Whereas the bottoms of your feet and your palms, and I think like your cheeks, like a certain section in your cheeks, the body treats those different as real ways that you can cool your body. It would actually accept that, that interchange of heat or something like that. So, his suggestion was keeping the palms of your hands, and if you could dip your feet in in ice water, that was a good thing to regulate and to bring your core temperature down. Is what he said. So I wonder if you can find a way to do that in the shoes, like, cooling insoles or
self-cooling shoes.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, and it also goes like with the opposite part of it, right? Like when you're in the cold, it's the same thing. You want to make sure that your feet are warm, right? The top of your head, right, as well. That's also a big radiator, the top of your head. So yeah, there's a bunch that goes into the making of the shoe, and part of it is just how breathable it is. Because yes, if you overheat, and of course, I always say a shoe is as good as your sock. So also, pair it with a good sock. Because you can have these super ventilated shoes, awesome, and then you're wearing, winter darn tops, then you're in trouble.
Is that not? I wore those in my run this morning. I wore darn tough socks. Are those bad socks? They're really.
I mean,
tough.
Not for the weather we have right now.
Okay.
But like, if you were doing like a summer race, I probably would not go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly had no idea that the heating aspect of your feet was such an important thing. I just never really think about that when I'm running. I usually don't have sweaty feet, but I don't immediately take my feet off and press them against the surface to see if they're sweaty or not.
See, that's the difference, though. So for me, if I have a pair, because I've been known to sweat a
Fred
little
immediately
bit.
laughs.
I thought you were going to say that's the difference between me and you, Rob. I take my shoes off right away and press my feet to see how sweaty.
Like a piece of paper so you could measure.
That's what separates the two of us.
Pretty much the biggest difference, I would say. Like if you're confused, at like somebody who runs a 1:19 half marathon versus somebody who, well, whatever. So I here's the thing. I've rejected shoes outright. A pair of Ultras, a Lone Peak. I forget what version they were, but like several years back, they made a shoe that just didn't drain.
Oh,
So for me, I sweat a lot. The sweat runs down my legs and into my shoes, and all of a sudden, I would be running with swampy feet.
oh my God.
And I had to actually drill holes in the shoes and have it removed with a hypodermic needle. No, I had to modify my shoes to make them even usable for me, because otherwise they wouldn't work for me. So, I always look for shoes that drain, because in the summer they're useless to me. Not only just for stream crossings, but also for, for sweating and moisture management. So
And I don't know, Art, I'm sure you've dealt with this, but you've consulted a doctor about this, right?
I've talked to Fred. I've talked to a lot of people on the podcast.
I'm a Juris doctor, so it's like a doctor.
It is.
He gets to talk to an attorney about it.
Yeah,
That's right. So that's why
everything
we're
we
suing
talk about, we can't reveal. Art. It's
That's why we're suing Tovar, right?
Yeah, that's what this all about.
The big
Doing
reveal,
so
or are we saving that for the end of the show?
Right? Yeah. Environmental lawyers, and we're taking Dovar to court.
That's
Please,
right.
please
Yeah.
don't sue me, man.
And we've also wasted all of our listeners' time tonight.
We've learned so much, though.
We did learn
We
some. I would like to say that we did learn a little bit, right?
a lot. We are
Yeah,
learning.
no, it's like one of the things that actually, well, Art and I were talking about is, asking you guys, what are your shoe preferences?
Good question. Let's start with
what
Fred.
I mean, I texted a picture to Art, and I have like a gazillion Hokas with me, just to kind of like make a point of like there's a shoe for everybody in the brand, right?
And it's just for that, because you can send them to me after if you're just using it just for that. Like I will take those shoes if you're getting rid of them.
Well, I would be super happy to give you a pair of Hokas, Rob, if you just tell me what it is.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
100%, man. Hooking you up. But
those
yeah,
ones that
but a
look
big
like
part of it
boots
is like
there.
what is your shoe preference, right? Like,
I want to hear
'cause-
Fred. Fred, go ahead. I want to hear him.
Oh no, I was just looking like you had those like booty hokas. Which ones are those?
Oh, the boots?
Yeah.
Man, this is gonna be oh my God.
Uh-oh, we got the
Oh,
secret.
did you just out something? Yeah. Ooh,
Wow.
look at that.
Oh.
So this is the total but I wouldn't say exaggeration, but like let's bring everything that a Hoka is to the extreme. So
Yeah.
this boot that I'm holding is the 10-9. And it just basically, for those people that are not actually watching it, it just basically has like an exaggerated heel that goes way further out than where actual heel is. So the heel of the outsole goes way back. And part of this thing that I was telling at the beginning of this podcast was how the original goal was to make sure that you were efficient coming down the hill and stuff like that. So this is the exaggerated geometry of it, and the idea, this being a hiking
For the record, Baby's got back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those are
Very
real
accurate.
booties.
And the idea is that because this is a hiking boot for mountains, the idea is that when you're stepping downhill, you're hitting the ground a little bit behind and a little bit with a curvature, so that it kind of like translates into the next step quicker, instead of having that immediate hitting to your knees and hips before taking the next step. So it kind of helps you with the transition. if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
So for our listeners, what we're talking about is everybody's familiar with the rocker that is the front of the shoe typically, where
Yep.
you step on it and you kind of roll off the toe. This is like an inverted rocker to the back and it extends off the heel. Kind of like if you turn this thing
Like a
upside
rocking
down, you
chair.
could pitch a tent under it probably.
Oh yeah,
So it's pretty exciting for camping and backpacking.
very cool.
Sure
So
is.
but it is nice because it gives you a lot of surface area there, and also, like you said, you start making contact with the ground sooner. So,
And that's something that kind of like that's part of the DNA. Like there's three things that make a Hoka, and one of them is that rocker geometry. Like every Hoka is going to have that. So, for example, I'm holding our Tecton X, which is our high-end trail running shoe with carbon fiber plates in it. So what we did to have a shoe that could have carbon fiber plates, but could also be nimble of the trail, is that we have two carbon fiber plates on the sides, and the center is just foam, so that way it's still flexible, right?
Nice.
It's not very stiff. But for example, this one has a rocker to it, and then if we go into road running shoes as well, they have that same geometry of having that rocker. So every single Hoka is going to have that, and it's about that efficiency of always propelling you forward, right? Like every time you take, it doesn't matter if you're a heel striker or forefoot striker, that geometry always helps you to spend less time on the ground.
gotcha. Huh. So I mean, with this, so it looks like has that rear rocker always been there on shoes, or did I just miss that, or is that kind of like a newer Hoka spin?
No, it has been always on it.
Hmm.
It has always been on it, and depending on the shoe, like if it's racing shoes are going to have a more aggressive, rocker than day-to-day trainers. I personally wear the Clifton almost every day, and this is a very conservative, I would say, conservative rocker. You still have that flare up in the back, that flare up in the front. But if we compare it to the CLX one that Rob was talking about, the one that we just released in Marathon Trust, like the geometry is almost, a circle.
Oh yeah. Huh. Okay, now let's see the bottom of that shoe as well.
Sure.
So okay, yeah. So that's kind of like a big cutaway. Well, it's kind of silly to kind of explain some of this on the show, but
I know.
it's almost
but
like
basically, if you look at the
Mhm.
if you look at the bottom of it, basically has some cutouts that you can actually see the exposed carbon fiber plate.
Oh wow, that's
And the idea is to cut weight when you don't need it. There's certain parts of the, I mean, there's studies, of course, there's a biomechanical study of where do you have the most time on your foot while you're having a fast-paced run.
Mhm.
And there's certain parts of the shoe that you could actually just do without, right? You don't spend a lot of time in it. So you can just do some
fast
cutouts.
forward through that section. I get it.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like you don't need that.
So let's talk about because a lot, we have people who run all sorts of surfaces, but primarily we have trail running in our name here. So
Of course.
yeah. So what do you do with when it comes down to trails? Like I know you have the two different pieces there and stuff like that. How have like what other sort of things are out there as far as grip and things like that? Because tripping is one thing, rolling, here are the things that throw everybody off, and this is no surprise. Like nobody wants to trip or hit, you don't want to bash your toes into anything that's going to break them, right? The other part is you don't want to slip out from underneath, and you don't want to step, you don't want to feel, you want to feel the ground enough, but you don't want it to bruise the bottom of your feet, if you're going 100 miles or longer, especially in the Northeast, because,
roots and rocks and,
yes, exactly.
Fuck that. Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
That's a very good point, because I always make fun of when trail running, we give each other shit all the time, right? So whenever everyone talks about running out, outside of the Northeast, I'm like, no, you just come do 30 miles here and then we'll talk, because it's all rocks and roots.
It's West Coast trails versus East Coast trails.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's people in the West Coast that run their trail ultras in Cliftons. So, that's saying something, right? I mean, there's
Just
no way we could
dirt.
do
Yeah, they're just running on dirt paths.
exactly.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So,
But anyway, yeah, talking about trail. So yeah, so first of all of our trail lineup that is, performance for trail
mhm.
we've had partnered with Vibram, which we know is like the gold standard in the industry of the, stickiest material out there.
Mhm.
For our
Second
shoes,
stickiest.
Stinkiest?
Stinky. Well, no, that would be the Byram sole.
It's the
Mhm.
So,
stickiest.
Or
yeah,
the new Hoka Ben Gay.
Yeah.
yes.
that would be the stinkiest
Yeah.
one.
That would be the stickiest.
Yeah, that's true. Yes,
So the Byram, they partnered with the Byram Souls, you said.
they did. Yes, yeah. We'll
Yeah,
have to.
with Vibram, which I'm told
Oh,
is Vibram by the people at Vibram. I'm told it's Vibram because it
Vibram,
comes from
yes.
the
Yeah.
last name of the Italian guy that founded the company.
oh wow.
Oh, so that
Yeah.
is interesting. So I've been pronouncing my last name wrong for all these years. This is good. This is good to know.
So you
So
pronounce
yeah,
it
so
Swedish.
I was told it's Vitali Bramani, the founder of what we call Vibram, but it's Vibram because it's Vitali Bramani. Little
Okay.
tidbit there.
Wow, very Italian name.
Yeah, very talented. So, but anyway, yeah. So when it comes to trail, just to stay on trails, we use Vibram Mega Grip, which
Hmm.
is the material in the industry that has, you know, the most traction, right? Like the whole gimmick, well, to call it a name, but when they released the Mega Grip at Vibram, what they did is that they put a boot in a 45-degree piece of ice and it would just stay there without sliding.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So,
Mm.
which is pretty cool,
We have seen this test.
So we do that, and then we also, when it comes to our shoes, and this is something that is probably common in most trail shoes, all the lugs are different directions. So the ones in the front are meant to grip when you go up, the ones in the back are meant to grip when you come down, and then we have we're known for our midsole, right? So our midsole
Mhm.
are going to be very cushiony, right? And of
Mhm.
course, if you're looking for a faster shoe, like for example the Mapate or the Tecton X, which are more for racing models, they're going to be closer to the ground, right? So you're very nimble, and things like, for example, the Speed Goat are a little bit more about comfort. So cool story about the Speed Goat, though, even though it's a running shoe, it was a preferred shoe. It was in which most people finished the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know that. That used to, everybody used to hike in hiking boots, right?
I know.
And then all of a sudden everybody started wearing, the Hokas
The boots.
actually. So,
Right.
I
Still
feel
wearing
like
Hoka
so.
boots.
So the carbon plates are still used pretty heavily in trail running as well. Now, so I used to be a trail runner more so but I had a bunch of kids and I can't really go out for hours. And so that's the main thing. They're still using the carbon plate for the trail running as well. How there's no other I guess design feature for trails that's being used.
I think it really comes down to the foams, because also, the carbon fiber plate, it's something newish, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, particularly to trails, because when we think about it, if we have like a full plate under our feet, then we're losing that feel for the ground,
Yeah, agreed.
right? So it's not necessarily the best thing ever when you're out on the trail, especially when it gets really technical, like we do on the Northeast.
Yeah.
So as a runner, before working for Hoka, I tried other brands that had that carbon fiber plate, and I just didn't feel, to be honest, I didn't feel safe, you know,
mhm.
at all. Like a lot of my mountain miles are done in the White Mountains in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So that's why Hoka came with that split design of having two carbon fiber plates, but some material in the middle so you can be still nimble while you move. But also, like, I think that a huge change that we've seen in trails is that now we have responsive foams in trail shoes as well. So what that
Mhm.
means is that you're going to have bouncy foams as well, just like you do on the road, right? On the road, you want to compress the foam and have that little spring back. So we're
Yes.
trying to see these materials as well on the trail.
So I picture, and maybe I'm not understanding it all that well, but I picture in the road shoe that it's a repetitive strike. You know, your foot strike is more or less the same every time for whoever you are, and that you can kind of find the shoe that matches your gait. You know, maybe it fades as your run goes on, but for the most part, you can find a shoe that matches your gaits the best, as closely as possible. But with trail running, especially when it's more technical, every step is different. So
Yeah.
I picture like carbon and these other technologies like giving me this return, but are they necessarily sending me in the right direction?
Agreed.
That's a super good question. And I think that's, that is something that in the end, the reaction is always going to go up, right? Like the spring is always going to push you up,
Okay. Yeah.
that's kind of like the best answer I can give you, right? When we're doing it in the road, I mean, it's a little bit more obvious, but also when we think of the trail, even if, let's say we do a side step to the right,
Yes.
it's going to go back in the same direction.
And make you trip. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why would you do such a thing?
So the force always goes in the same way that you put it, right? So if you're stepping one direction, the force is going to come back in the same direction. So
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I have heard anecdotally a lot of people going for that really like these type of shoes that are more like carbon fiber blade and all that stuff, because it has a little bit people like how it feels on the uphill. Because when you think about it, you're stepping you're actually stepping on a harder surface. So it's almost like going up a step that has a little bit of a spring to it. So I have heard anecdotally that people see more differences in the uphills.
That makes a ton of sense because your gait going up a hill is much more of a repetitive one. Generally you have more of a rhythmic and you're lifting your knees high and you're kind of you're a 4-foot strike, all the things that you might think would play well into that. So interesting.
I've seen so there's that new Speedland shoe that Cameron Haynes is sort of supporting or helped develop. And the thing that they're doing is this new system where it's like a tightening feature where you sort of tighten this thing on the side that makes it so your heel doesn't move at all. Some of these new trail shoes are featuring that, and that seems to be an interesting new design feature on some new shoes. And the Speedland, they're charging some ungodly amount of money. I think they're charging $350 or $400 for these shoes. And but that was an interesting feature that I hadn't seen on many shoes, and it seems to be entirely in these trail shoes. I don't know if you guys have considered it's like a little gear or circular thing that you tighten in it.
Yeah, so there is just like with outsoles, Vibram is the brand to go to, right? Like a lot of brands just outsource the outsoles to Vibram. So that system, there is a brand called BOA.
Yes, exactly.
Just like the shorts. And these guys are like, they have the best product out there, right? Like, and I know that Ultra, for example, they have their Mont Blanc with BOA.
Yeah.
I have tried a couple of shoes with BOA. Speaking of Chinese stuff, you can get a if you go to Alibaba, you can actually get that system that will fit any shoe possible, right?
You can get the Python system.
Exactly, it's not the BOA, it's a Python. The Python quick lace.
That's right.
I can tell you that at least the immediate future, there's no plans to do that. I can tell you as a runner what I think about that. So as I really like that you have a very secure fit, right? But this system only works if there is not too much elasticity to that, right? It's almost like a wire. So it doesn't have a lot of give. So I find it that the more miles that I do in something like that, the more I have to stop to readjust. Versus if I put shoelaces on, because they give a little bit more, I'm more comfortable down the line.
Yeah, it seems like I'd get a lot of blisters if I wore something like that.
And there's a lot of injuries, actually. I've heard of a lot of people who we've all tightened our shoes too tightly and then had like something that felt like a stress fracture or maybe actually was a stress fracture. The BOA system, I think that like a lot of people over tighten them or they just don't account for, like you said, as your feet warm up or swell up, they
Yep.
just get tighter and tighter. So, I've definitely heard that, that kind of feedback, and they do. The other part is though, like, so you mentioned Mont Blanc. So Ultra makes two versions of that shoe. One is one that laces up, and then the other is with the boa. And the boa, they get like another, I forget what it is. It's probably like 50 or $60 for it. So, that's on top of an already expensive shoe.
Yeah, and then you get into like,
$200.
oh man, you could go in rabbit holes when it comes to shoes, because then you have another thing, right? Because it's a wire, then your upper has to have a little bit more padding, right?
Sure.
So now
Yeah.
you end up with that problem. If you have a little bit more padding, it's gonna hold a little bit more moisture when you're doing your river crossings, your stream crossings, or like you were saying, Art, maybe it's gonna be a hotter shoe, right? Like it's gonna keep more sweat, So now you have that other can of worms,
Yeah.
right?
Because
So
padding is like little sponge weights.
mhm.
It's good to have, but with somebody like me, those shoes weigh a ton. Those Mont Blancs weigh a ton. Actually, even the ones without, maybe they don't even pull the padding out of the ones without the boa, because those
Probably,
seem
yeah.
to be, that's the one complaint I have, is that they can get really, if it's not dry, they get really heavy. So
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan actually. So what I do with my trail shoes is that I put a little bit of bungee cord. So I put bungee cord in the very first in the eyelets that are closer to my toes, because that's where I swell the most. And then I just lace the top normally. So that way I can lace it close to my ankle. I have a snugger fit so the foot stays in place. But I literally caught a piece of bungee cord and put those in the final eyelets, so I have room
I don't know,
to
Tova, I'm
breathe.
very lost about what is that. So I'm lost. What is
this is
I'm
great.
The eyelets are where your shoelaces go into.
okay.
So
So
basically, I like to put a piece of shock cord, like elastic cord,
Uh-huh.
in these first ones, in the ones that are closest to your toes, so that way they expand a little bit as I swell.
Okay.
But then I use regular shoelaces in the top to make sure that I have a good fit
Wait, but wouldn't
that
those
doesn't slide.
shoelaces on top be insanely long? Don't you have these huge old rabbit
Yes, it
ears on
is, but it's
top?
fine. You just tuck them in.
you do
Oh,
the old extra loop on the top two things with
Yeah,
the under this, you can cinch them down you're right, Rob, they're going to be longer,
I
they're
but
didn't
they're
know that.
longer for sure.
Is
Yeah.
that did you call that the Tovar method, or is that something that you had seen someone else do?
No, you know what it is? I just do it because my toes splay too much. Like I only have to loosen my shoelaces because of my toes. Everything else feels fine. So that's the
Wow.
solution that I
Well,
came with.
you heard it here first on Cultra, Tovar method of lacing.
I think it's a great, you know what, everybody's got to find what works for them. So I think I like the idea there. It's a good I think that's a good one. I want to just show you something really quick here.
Okay, what are we looking at here?
Calendar, no. I want to show you this. Come here,
Oh, nice.
just a second.
What is it, like your Bluetooth settings or something?
Where'd it go
Bluetooth settings
here?
are on point, Art.
Fuck.
Stereo
Come on.
mixing.
I just went to this. Where did it go? We're going to edit this part. I always say that and then we never do.
Yeah, well, this is great
I
listening.
just did this.
People.
Okay, why don't you guys just talk amongst yourselves as I'm like getting this?
I feel like going back to Velcro would be nice. I don't know. We just don't do as many shoes with Velcro anymore.
You know what? That's actually a good idea. I do like Velcro a lot. I think for trail shoes it's weird because you would get them undone. Doesn't it happen to you guys that you're running and you kind of like you're rubbing your feet together sometimes because you take like
Yeah.
I feel in the trails you're not clearing. Like I know that I always hit my legs or my calves, like I come all muddy and bloody from my own from my own shoes. So I think that you would get them undone. But I do like the idea of Velcro, man. I think Velcro is.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying I'm a shoe head myself, but I know the shoe heads like that Velcro.
I do like it. I must say I do like it. I was trying to look here in my phone to see if I had any pictures of the Tomorrow Method because these are not my trail shoes. This is a brand new pair. Mine are in my truck.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh, you don't take a picture of your shoes every couple days so far? Like the top of your
Apparently, I don't. I thought I did. Apparently, I do
Well,
not.
how about unboxing? Do you like take videos when every time you unbox a pair of Hokas?
You know what? I used to have a YouTube video, a YouTube
Okay.
channel that I did. I did not do unboxing. I did reviews because
Okay.
this is what happened. So many years ago, I was gonna do the Spartan Death Race, and I was looking for a pair of boots that were really good to drain, right?
Uh-huh.
And I never found anything that told me if this pair of boots that I was looking to buy had a good drainage system. So I took it upon myself to do. All I found was unboxing. So I took it upon myself to do like a YouTube channel that says I've been using this for a year, and these are my thoughts. But I stopped doing it when I started working for Hoka because I felt that it was not very honest because now I work for the brand that I'm reviewing. I felt that
Oh,
the experience
gotcha.
for the viewer was not as honest.
Gotcha. I feel that way sometimes about the Byram the Byram sole.
Oh, I think
Can
it's
you see my
zero.
screen here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, that's like it's a close, a close competitor of the Vibram, but they pronounce theirs differently. So I did want to just show you that for a little bit. You know,
Byram. Love it.
shots. That's right. Yes. So
It's
you know,
amazing.
Did you
that's out
consult
there.
with your attorney before doing that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Fred,
probably
Yeah,
shouldn't have showed Fred. Wait,
I sense a cease and desist in the future.
and
Coming
then I'll
down.
deny it. We saw nothing.
I didn't see anything.
So, um, so, so is Hoka primarily a trail brand that
We started as a
dabbles
trail
on the
brand.
road? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, I would say like our DNA is definitely in the trails, right? Like it started in the French Alps.
Mm-hmm.
Our first shoe was an actual trail shoe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, of course, as I saw that in my previous career was in the medical industry, and this happened a lot in the medical industry, right? Like you build something that you feel that has a great application, and then somebody else finds a better application for it, right? So it was a little bit like that. Like Hoka started with a trail product, which was very good trail product, but I think there was not a lot of acceptance at the time because of what we were just talking about earlier, right? Like the tendency was towards minimalist footwear, right? In our head, technical shoes were narrow in the front,
Mm.
very very hard outsoles, so you can be really technical on different rocks, right? Um, so here comes Hoka, and they're cushiony and they're huge. So people were like, "What?" Like that would make sense, but back then there was not a lot of acceptance. However, a lot of people saw, well, but this could be cool for the road because that's more cushioning, right?
Mhm.
Or I can feel what you were saying, Art. Like when you're on the road, you have repetitive motions,
Mm-hmm.
so it's more noticeable that geometry helping me go forward. So we started to see a lot more success in the road, and I feel like a lot of people started seeing Hoka as walking shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but truly, we were made in the mountains and for the mountains, and that's what I was like super happy that we got that win in UTMB last year because he was
Mhm.
like, hell yeah, man, that's where it started, man. Like hell yeah, we got a great product with a great athlete, and here you go.
Gotcha. I think that so here's my not that you asked, but but I'm fucking saying it anyway. No, my experience with Hoka, and this is no secret to a lot of people, is that I tried them and I love them. I like them a lot, but then I ran my longest, actually my fastest 24-hour race. I ran 112 miles in 24 hours wearing a pair of Cliftons,
Awesome.
but my ankles were fucked after it. They were just, you know, and this was a while back, so it's several.
Sure.
It was. I'm trying to remember the year. It was probably 2010 or something like that. Um, and and I felt like I would land on the shoe, and then my ankle would kind of just roll a little bit there, and just stress the tendon in my ankle a little bit every step over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
and that I wasn't quite getting, you know, I wasn't quite getting that, whether it was support or whatever. So I had to wear I wore orthotics for probably like 7 years or more after that. Before I finally, after our physio from down under came on the show, I got rid of my orthotics, just because I felt like I needed those to run. But I finally got rid of them. So but I have to say this now, other experiences with going that distance, when you're done with a run like that in minimalist shoes, which I had done before, I felt fine for 60, 70 miles. But then those last 30 miles, I always feel like my feet are just broken,
Yep.
I feel like my feet were just broken. So I think that the allure of the Hoka at the time was just like, I just to like baby your feet with marshmallows, they were these big, I had these big yellow ones that I ran into, a while back. But again, so after that, I've not like really touched a Hoka since, but I'm kind of curious, now to probably give them another shot
Sure.
and see how it,
So
goes.
a couple of things. I ran my longest distance up to date has been 85 miles, and I
Mhm.
ran them in Clifton's, and I
Mhm.
swear by the Clifton. I think it's an amazing product, and
Mhm.
I think it's probably the shoe that I saw the most at Anchor Down last year,
Mhm.
at the Anchor Down Ultra, because even though it has a little bit of a technical terrain, quote unquote, it's very short. So I think you're better off protecting yourself from the road miles and just being a little bit more careful on the trail, right?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it says probably I would say like a 40% trail, 60% road, right? Each loop. Um, so yeah, Clifton, it's an amazing. So there's a couple of things. One is that as I've been using Hokas for some years now, I feel like Hoka is doing a better job in finding that middle ground in which it feels cushiony, but it's supportive enough,
Mhm.
right? So step after step. So I think that the support is a little bit better, and that it was, I don't know how long ago you tried Hokas, but at least I know that my first Bondis were for 2013, and I
Mhm.
feel a huge difference in that balance between cushioning and support with my newer Bondis from 2024, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing too that it's cool about Hoka, and I must say that I don't know how far back this technology has been implemented, is that they now have something that is called active foot frame.
Mhm.
So think about the difference between a stand-up paddleboard and a kayak, right?
Mhm.
When you're in a kayak, you're inside, right? When you're in the stand-up paddleboard, you're obviously just on the surface. So most shoe brands are like the stand-up paddleboard. So your foot is in that flat surface, right?
Mhm. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got you.
Right? And
Mhm.
with Hoka, the geometry of the midsole sinks a little bit in, so
Mhm.
Mhm.
your foot is inside the
Hugged by
midsole,
it. Yeah.
right?
It
So
kind of
that
gives you that. It
also
has that reach around technology.
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
guys call it the reach around
we,
technology?
we call it we call it active foot frame.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
But I
Let's
think
catch
reach around technology is pretty good. I'm gonna use it in my next training. I'm gonna
David. You're an AI
I'm
model.
gonna
That's
use a Byram exclusive. Right.
that's right.
so
It's a
for
secret. We can't tell anybody about it. It's a
so for
secret
example,
reach
this is
around
like
technology.
the,
That's like the kayak one, right?
yeah, like for example, this is the bond that this is one of our highest stacks. So, but your heel is not at the very top of the midsole. Your
Mhm.
heel is actually sitting probably in the middle around there. So that is really cool because it kind of like wraps around your foot.
We wrap
Mm.
around.
Some might call it wraparound technology
We would.
Or reach around.
or reach around. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's also something that I think that you know Hoka has embraced a lot more you know in our shoes. So every single shoe has some degree to that, right? Like some of them are going to have a little bit more of a you're going to sink a little bit more into the kayak. Some of them are going to be a little bit more surface level, but all of them have a similar geometry to give that extra support.
Well,
Gotcha.
you guys have a lot of scientists working on these things. It just seems like it's like not people like me that are design because I had like come up with some drawings and those were just very not technical.
It's
Like
so good, man. Like I mean, I'm sure that we did have not come up with with the aromatic models now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bengay one. I like that idea a lot.
So Fred, what are you running, Fred?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Stinson's. Love it.
The old man shoe. Yeah, the Stinson.
He runs in the Simpsons.
My first pair of Stinsons was I got in 2011, and I've run in about, I would say, 8 or 9 different HOKA models over the years. But these are just they're easy for me to use. They have a lot of security. Make me happy. And you've got the kayak thing going. So yeah, you're below this level.
That's a solid shoe. So actually, do me a favor, Fred. Can you just put it a little bit in the camera? So the 2 different colors of foam that you have.
Show me your HOKAs, Fred. Show me your HOKAs.
Everybody asked me that.
Let me see the HOKAs. So the 2 different colors are actually 2 different foams. So the green foam that is closer to your foot is a little bit firmer to add stability. And then the yellow foam is going to be a little bit, more of a plush feeling. So you have that soft landing, but right under your foot, you have added stability. So that the Stinson is a great shoe for ultra running because it gives you a little bit of added support.
Wow.
Yeah, these are like more than 100 miles. Not a problem.
Wow. And what are we talking about with smell on that thing, Fred? Bengay or?
It could use some Bengay smell
with the touch of Desitin.
More like 30 foot.
30 foot, yeah.
Yeah. I would not drink a beer out of this right now.
So, well, I think the soft landing is good, but you could call it like it has the reach around technology, then with the happy ending.
Happy ending,
right? Like
yes.
So I don't know. I think it's close, but I think you guys are kind of missing the whole. There's untapped markets there. So
there's a lot of markets.
I can think that we can work with the wording.
Yes.
Okay. To make it more appealing.
All right.
You make it very sensuous.
BRIM Technologies or BRIM Consulting on this wording.
That's right. Well, maybe that's what the BRIM offers,
He's more of a wordsmith than a soul guy.
That's right. The short-term memory foam, and you got everything.
Tell me how you call it, and I'll give you a better way to call it.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. That's the BRIM difference.
Oh, yep. That's excellent.
I should say though, while we're talking HOKAs, that I first tried HOKAs in 2011, and when I first ran in them, they felt very soft because I had been running in like Asics or something. But I really liked the Meta Rocker. Mm-hmm. At first, I felt like I was going downhill when I was like just on the level on pavement because it rolls your foot forward. I liked that feeling. Once I got used to it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm never going back. And the stack height of a HOKA is high, but the it's not like you're running in high heels like
the drop is
typically have a drop that's like a 10 or 11, and the HOKA is like a 5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, our drops are between, our lowest drop is 3, but you were typically around 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Most trail offerings are around 4. We have like our super shoes, the CLO has 7 millimeters, which is a lot higher for us.
Oh, wow.
But if you compare it to the Alpha Fly, which is 10, then it's not that high. And the reason we have a little bit of an added drop is because we take into consideration how much the foam is going to compress when you step in it. So that's why we add a little bit more, because we know that foam is going to be a little bit more cushiony. It's going to compress a little bit more. But the other thing that Fred said, to touch base on that, is that like you're right. I mean, it's a different shoe, so it takes a little bit to get used to it. People way smarter than me have studied it, that you typically, like, it takes you like 6 weeks to get used to a very different ride. Like if you switch, like let's say, like for example, let's go with the extreme, right? Like you're running in Alpha Flies and then you're going to go to Ultras. It's going to take you 6 weeks to feel at home, right? Mm-hmm. So that's also the other thing, you're right, Fred. Like it takes a little bit to get used to a different style of shoe.
So does in the HOKA boardroom, do they refer to Ultra as your little bitch because you got them to move away from their zero drop stance, or what?
Because they released a HOKA, the Ultra version of HOKA with their forward experience shoe.
Just saying.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
God.
love Ultra, so but I just have to say they're like, yep, we're zero drop. That's what we do,
I know. I
And then
felt
all of a sudden, you
I
know,
cannot speak for HOKA. I can speak about myself. I was like, what are you doing, guys? Come on. You
yeah.
know,
But now,
it was really funny because the year prior on April's Fool,
mhm.
we had like HOKA, like of course it's a prank. HOKA minimalist shoes coming out with zero drop, like we made fun of it. And Ultra actually went and did it.
Oh,
Like,
there you
we're gonna
go.
increase the stack. We had about a rounded geometry, and we're gonna be super plush.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is something. So like what is the next, like where do you see shoe technology, and like if we're at, like, let's call our where we're at right now at ground, at a level field. So
Mhm.
what do you think the upside of, what are you hearing that the upside of shoe technology is? Like, we got our 4% like boom, and over the years I'm sure we've gotten more than that from, from a lot of other things. What do you think still left out on the table, or do we have any ideas on that? Or
So, from a technology standpoint, I feel that always what changes, you there's always a cycle when it comes to technology. It doesn't matter what industry it is, right?
Mhm.
You reach the peak of the technology, right? You always have that trailblazer that that industry leader or whatever that is top notch, right? And
Mhm.
then everybody catches up, and it happens in every technology, right? And you start to have different differentiators. Like, the best example is probably cell phones, right? Like you had the iPhone, and then everybody else went, like, we all realized that keyboards suck and BlackBerry died, and now we all have touch phones, right? Like, so and then you start to have different differentiators, and then what happens? The technology gets stuck. You cannot go, you cannot get any much better, or the difference are minimal. So what
Mm.
happens? We change the application, right?
Mm.
So we change how we apply things, right? How we apply the same technology, and I think that is we're gonna reach that phase. Like, we're still making lighter foams, we're still making more responsive foams, we're still, right now that we all know that carbon fiber plates work. Now we're starting to play with the geometry of the plate. Whereas at
Mm.
the
Mhm.
beginning, you would have just this flat plate that was all around the shoe. Now we have different geometries. For example, in our case, from HOKA standpoint, this yellow plate, and I lost the shoe that I had to show, but this yellow X1 plate is no longer flat. It's shaped like a spoon
Hmm.
to give a little bit more of a natural feel and a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the toe off, to the takeoff.
Gotcha.
So
It's like
that
pre-torqued.
Exactly. So that is now we're going to start to see more playing with the geometries and the application of the technology, because the technology, we already know it works. It's there. For example, some brands are using cylinders instead of plates.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Tubes, right? I think
Yeah,
Adidas is using like
Adidas.
tubes. Is
Yep.
that right?
Yeah, Adidas does that. They do
Mhm.
this. What do they call it? They call it carbon rods. That's, I think, their official name, the carbon rod technology.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, so I feel that we know now that reactive foams work. We know now that having more support in your foot works. And now we're going to start to play with the application. And I think
Mm.
that's where it's going to get really interesting, because on the one end, you're going to have a lot of options. But on the other end, it's going to take a little bit more homework to see what works for you.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it. And then you're in my position where you're searching for potential fits, and there's just endless options. I do, to piggyback on what you said, Tovar, like the new Alpha Fly 3, I believe. They have a soft back of the shoe. Like the heel is actually soft compared to the toe. And I know in the book Endurance, I think Alex Hutchinson talked about when they were doing the Sub 2 project for Nike, they had actually experimented with nearly completely removing the heel of these
Yep.
super shoes and having the athletes, Kipchoge in particular, run into almost entirely on the mid and front sole and almost have like the whole emphasis on the
Mm.
toe strike. So yeah, I agree that it really does seem like the technology is moving towards like the shape and the design of the soul at this point.
And
Mm.
that's, first of all, great book.
Yeah,
Endure. I
awesome.
think that Endure is such a good read. It's awesome. It
One
touches
of my
on,
favorite running books.
I know it's great. It touches on pain, it touches on
Mm.
psychology, it touches on everything. But to talk about, like, for example, Mizuno, they have a shoe that literally has no heel,
Hmm.
right? But then it's not probably a very inclusive shoe, right? Because there's a tons of people out there that are going to completely have to change their biomechanics to use it. And we see it also at an Olympic level, at a high performing level. There's some people that still are heel strikers, and for whatever reason that works for them. Probably not the most of them, but there's some athletes at competitive level that still heel strike. So yeah, I mean, but that was their take on it. Mizuno actually got rid of the heel, period.
I mean, that was kind of the thought behind not the whole thing, but part of minimalist shoes, or at least the idea was that, like, it's hard to really heel strike hard if you're in minimalist shoes, right?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I found, is that it was really, that's what it got. It just, like, it did everything that it claimed to do, in Born to Run. It just got me up, to neutral to forefoot. And, that made a big difference. For me, it in my case, it made me, I made me markedly faster, no doubt.
And it's definitely a good tool, right? I that's what I must say, like, because I have this conversation a lot, like, because we're having this conversation now in the podcast, but I go to stores, I go to running groups, stuff like that, and there's always that person wearing minimalist shoes, saying like, well, a minimalist shoe is better. Sure. So yes, I mean, there's something to be said, that having as natural feel as possible is going to push you into more natural biomechanics down the line, right? Like you're right. You could have heel strike on Vibram 5 fingers. You just can't.
Yeah.
And you cannot heel strike in sandals, right? And I get it. And there's never any substitute for having a strong foundation. I feel that all of us should do some sort of barefoot training in however we train, right? But there's no survival aspect in which a human was going to run 100 miles. If we have that argument, there's no way a human needed to run for 100 miles to survive. And
because that's a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea.
It's not survival, right? It's not survival, right?
No.
So if we're pursuing our stupid ideas, we need stupid shoes for them, right?
That's right. That's where HOKA comes in, right?
That should be the motto.
Stupid
now
ideas,
we're getting
stupid shoes. Yeah,
these are stupid shoes, not super shoes, or stupid shoes.
And that's really
I'm taking that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, let's take it too. Like, I love it. So we have the stupid shoes. We have the one of the happy ending. What was the other one?
Oh my
the reach around technology.
The reach around.
Oh,
short-term memory foam.
But yeah, I mean, that's always my argument, right? Like, we were made to be barefoot. I 100% agree with that. But we're also conquering things that we would not do in nature. Like, we would never run this much in concrete because there was not a long enough hard surface to run in. We're not running in all weather. We're not running year round. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that's where the footwear industry really comes in. But yeah, there's absolutely no substitute to having a good foundation and train your feet and train your muscles the way you should.
Awesome. So, so is there anything else that you think that we should know, as, that our listeners might be interested in, that we haven't talked about tonight?
Yes, I think, well, my only thing, the one thing that I always like to tell people about is, like, stop thinking about the shoes and start thinking about yourself. So take a look at who you are as a runner, and that's going to direct you into what shoe better suits you, right? I see a lot of people, I see a lot of people trying to fit into one shoe. And I think I'm going to pick on the Alphafly just because it's the best example. Kipchoge broke, 2 in that shoe. So that's the best marathon shoe. So I'm going to run in that shoe. And then you have this runner that is going to run a 6-hour marathon, melting into something that is just going to make a lot of damage to that person's body. So that person would have better been off on a stability shoe, on a Stinson like Fred, right? On a Clifton, which is a day-to-day shoe. It costs half the price, too. So always, you have to be very honest with who you are as a runner to choose a shoe. You have to consider what is your fitness level, like what is the actual, do you need more support because you're still building up your strength? You have to consider what is it going to be the majority of the volume you're going to be running at? Like, are you going to do a lot of road? Are you going to do a lot of trail? Are you going to do a lot of low distance, right? And is there anything in your body that is different from the average in terms of maybe you're a heavy runner and you don't have to be overweight. Maybe you're just very muscular or very tall.
Nothing wrong with that.
Big boned, right?
Big boned, as we say, right? Maybe you have an injury that you're recovering.
Gotcha.
You have to think about you first. So what is your fitness level? Is there anything that makes you different from average? And what's the majority of your volume? And then that's going to open, or maybe reduce the amount of options, and then you choose from those. Instead of just saying, I want to fit in that shoe.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are most people take like toe box design into account, like how wide of a toe box. So where is HOKA with that right now? Would you say, how do they, how do they fit in? Like, are they different, or are they about the same, or where, what basic shape would you classify?
That's an excellent question. When it comes to toe box, I think that it also depends on what you have done in your life. Like, for those of us that were stuck in leather shoes all of our lives, we don't need a wide toe box, and the wide toe box is probably going to feel even a little bit unstable because you have too much room and you're sliding inside. So that's kind of like a difficult thing to consider, but when we talk about HOKA, we're trying to find a fit that is the most inclusive possible. So if you are on both ends of the spectrum, this is like a happy medium for you. We have wide offerings for our most popular shoes. And for the longer distances shoes, like for example, the Cielo, we have a little bit of a wider toe box, right? We have a little bit more space in it because it's a long distance shoe. Our trail shoes also have a little bit more spacious because when you're on trails, you want to make sure that you have that splay for your ground feel, and you're probably going to swell up a lot more.
Sure.
So it depends on the type of shoe. What shape do we choose? Like, what's the ultimate goal of that shoe? Then we'll choose different shapes. For example, the boot that we were talking about earlier, because it's a very classic mountain boot, the laces go way, way to the front, so you can even adjust more for that climbing or descending, right?
So you don't jam. If you're doing a 3,000 foot descent, you don't run your toes into the front of your boot.
There you go. You got it. Gotcha. You tie it a little bit more, so you keep your toes a little bit back. So it really depends on what's the function of the shoe, how much room we're gonna, or what's gonna determine the shape of the toe box.
Okay.
I feel like we're just babying feet lately. Back in the day in the 70s, they just had the waffle shoe. Everybody fit into that thing, and you just dealt with it. But now
you just get bloody toes, and that was it.
Are you comfortable? Options. They're very entitled. They have to pick and choose. You have to really know yourself as a foot to find your shoe. Do you think this is good for people in the future? What do you think about future? What do I think about my kids and their shoe choice?
They're getting soft.
I don't think I can.
Worried about next generation shoes.
Parental advice. I don't think I've been. You know what? Here's what I would say. Right, like we're using technology that our parents didn't have or that grandparents didn't have, and there's nothing wrong with it. So it's the same thing. If you have some technology for your feet that enhances your experience, that makes you go further, that makes you explore more dangerous areas, why not?
It's kind of like brown acid, right?
It's not specifically too good.
Okay. All right.
I saw the movie.
Okay. Don't take the brown acid, Fred. Is that your recommendation?
It's not specifically too good. That's what they say.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Rob, I ran my first marathon in Nike waffle trainers,
Wow.
Awesome.
UCLA
That's
colors, the blue and yellow. Yeah, blue and gold.
How did that feel? Do you remember how your feet felt?
Yeah, quite bad. The waffle trainer was like, to use the stand-up paddleboard idea. It was just like a
yeah.
board with no support. The shoe, like my feet were hanging over both the inside and outside of the last as I was running. Like they were very narrow. Nikes were really narrow back then, and I was just like, it was like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag kind of thing hanging out of both sides, and I felt pretty jacked by the end of that marathon.
I bet.
I also didn't tape my nipples, so like that wasn't the worst thing. The feet, it was the red 11 on my.
Yeah,
my
there's a
feet.
lot of blood involved.
The
There
red
was a lot of
11. Yep.
blood.
Yep.
Wow.
I feel like it's a rite of passage, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually,
I
do
actually
you follow
went-
up on the?
I
Oh,
went
go
back
on.
to school, and one of my friends who had already run a marathon said, "Oh yeah, you're supposed to tape your nipples." I was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, like
Everybody tells you
didn't
after the
tell
fact.
me."
Nobody thinks.
It's like, oh, you learn, you learn.
I feel like when you ask advice for a marathon, I mean, everybody goes like hydration or, oh, make sure that you eat this the night before. Nobody talks about nipples, man, and that should be the number one advice.
You should
That's
always
right.
be talking
Lube.
about it.
Absolutely.
Lube it up.
Yeah, no, get some lube and some
Get up,
band-aids,
lube it
man.
up,
Boom.
band-aid it up, do something. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think like if there's no Fred, do you have any closing arguments?
I don't. I think I've said my piece. Oh, wait, no, there was one thing. Tovar, back in the day when I first ran in Hokas, they had some kind of speed lacing system
Yeah.
that was really not that great. Not great.
Oh,
That's
you,
probably why we don't have it
pull
anymore.
the thing up and and
Oh, I
then
remember
did.
that. Yeah, you pull it up and you cinch it down, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? It's funny because, for example, from all my road shoes, I changed my shoelaces to have it.
Oh.
I love it for my road shoes. I have these
Oh,
are
those are
from
stretchy, right?
Yes, these are from
yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah, the Hokas
So-
did not stretch.
Yeah, they didn't stretch. So these are from Nathan, and
Uh-huh.
all my road shoes, I use that. I don't use it in my trail shoes because if it's too elastic, you kind of like slide when you're coming downhill. But for all my road shoes, I always put Nathan elastic shoelaces, and I just love it. It's my favorite thing.
very good. Yeah, I think Saucony Endorphin Speed, Saucony, I think they use kind of like a nice stretchy lace too that works pretty well for that.
Yeah.
Very good. Rob, you have any closing arguments here?
I honestly, I think this was a very unusual way to announce me as a new official HOKA athlete and runner, but I appreciate it. And
I'm product developer and marketer.
I of course
Yeah.
accept, and I will be a big part of the marketing and design team in the future, and I will be pushing those evil robots, the AI robots, to not only test but develop future shoes. But thank you, yes.
Walmsley,
Awesome.
Kostelnik, Amatruda, right? Like the big three.
I'm right at top three. And
Yeah.
and Rob's Road to Ultra. Follow Rob's Road to Ultra. Number one influencer, running content creator out there.
And yeah, and we will have a link to that in the show notes as well as Hoka. So and let's see what so Tovar, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to play our outro music now, and then maybe we can chat a little bit. For all of our listeners out there, if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. And we will see you all in a
Mile and a half.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Now we get to ask the Magic 8-Ball a question. And I should have come up with a good question. Tovar, do you have a good yes or no question that you can ask the Magic 8-Ball tonight?
Yes. Am I gonna get sued for for environmental
Yeah.
responsibilities?
That's the money question right there. Let's see.
Holy shit,
and the
man.
answer is signs point to yes.
Oh,
I knew it.
this
But
is
that's
the end
okay.
of
It doesn't mean that it's successful. A lot people sue for everything these days. It's
Oh yeah,
fine.
anybody can sue anyone. Yeah.
It's fine. I didn't like living in this country anyway. So.
There you go.
Hello. It's me. Cultra Bot. Here at the good old Cultra Trail Running Podcast we are 112% listener supported, and support is good. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. And if you see one on the trail, be sure to thank them for me, Cultra Bot, in person. Because God knows that AFB and the crew let me get some fresh air. Anyway, these names are not going to read themselves. Here we go. Hashtag Hondojo. Carrot dollar 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 dollar. Albert James Galayton. 113th mile. A Marcus. Amy Jennifer Hanlon. Amy Jennifer Hanlon's friend. Amy Mower Power. Amy Sorensen. Andy Tid. Angela Rose. Anna G. Antone de Betancourt. Austin Frank. Azam Pulatov. Ben Millet. Ben 1N. Benjamin Griffin. Berkshire Trailheads. Basic Hustle. Bikini Chicken. Bill Gibbs. Bill Gilpatrick. Bill Adendal. Brian Musiak. Brian O. Bryce Hen Ellie. Celeste Fong. Cherie Bilby. Chip prefers snickerdoodles. Chris Russell. Christina Chinhing. Christopher Colangelo. Clement Scented Chunks. Cloris Reinhardt. Crutch Lee. Dan Brehant. David Hoople. David Hyde. David Kaplan. Ellen Cretella-Connell. Ellie Pell. Emily Meyer. Enrique Tello. Eric Wester. Franklin Gondiaga. Fred Wills. Jeffrey Miller. Heidi Stearns. I Pity the Fools on Team B. JJ Durand. Jackie Smith. Jacques Sarbach. Jake Coteen. Jamie Myler. Jank. Jessica Crandall. Jillian Ellefson. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Trail Charts. Joseph Morisro. Just underscore a plotter. Justin Koski. Karen Prado. Kelsey Eng. Lanzalot. Laura Ricci. Lauren Edelman. Law Dog. Leanne Zarger. Lenya Euro Trademark S Mom. Liz Vicious 30. Maishij Macho. Mark W. Kelly. Marty Dutchow. Matt Nilsson. Michael Keogh. Michael Lopresti. Michelle Pom-Pom O'Neill. Microscopic Porcupine. Miles Victors. Mommy Craigery. Monkey Stuffer. Name. Nat Zilsk. Nicole Carey. Once a Runner. Peter Keogh. Powered by Pop-Tarts. Rebecca Gonzalez Kreisberg. Richard runs trails on YouTube. Finishes Traveler 100. Rob the Bear Breckenridge. Ron Locandro. Ross Bielak. Rufus and Brenda Chaffee Ford and Chaffee Chocolatey Chicken. Run the Whites at Midnight. Rusty Red Wagon. Samuel Dibdal. Sandy Bartell. Sarah Porras. Scott Johnson. Simon C. Edgett. Scobuffs. Slurpee Runner. Steep Endurance. Stephen Estremera. Ty. 10 Junk Miles. Get some while supplies last. The Blue Hills Contingent. The Lazarus Crew. Tom Sturridge. Tony Didamizio. Ultra Walker. Waldheimer. William A. Euro E keep running bro on YouTubia Euro Jara. Sme kook designed in the rear. Yeah, that's how we do it. Peace out for now. Alexa, play Cultra Trail Running Podcast.